Welcome to Dub Nation, episode 26, your hub for everything Utah Warriors of Major League Rugby. I am Jarom Jordan alongside Banksy, and for the first time since 2018, the Utah Warriors are headed to the playoffs, baby.
Let's go!
What a great situation this is. We'll talk about all the ramifications of this week or lack thereof, and then next week's playoff game again against LA. So a lot going on. We're live on the Utah Warriors Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube accounts, on demand on KSLSports.com, KSL Sports app, KSL TV app. Rebroadcast Thursday nights. Oh, it's a Thursday show that's coming up tonight. A little faster than normal. Normally we're Wednesdays. Tonight we're Thursdays. Subscribe to the podcast version on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and SoundCloud. If you have a comment, fire away. We'll get to some of those as we can. What are we giving out tonight?
Tonight we have a 2021 road replica jersey to one lucky fan who shares the show on Facebook, retweets the post of the game on Twitter. This is the best looking kit in MLR. It's the red away jersey with the beautiful Wasatch Mountains on it. If you want it, share the show on Facebook or retweet the post of the game on Twitter and you can win it. I
know the swag is good when I'm jealous. So we get some stuff, right? We don't get everything. I see that jersey, I'm like, oh,
I don't have the away kit. I don't have the Osepa jersey. There's lots of really good kit that fans have their hands on that we even don't working for the team. So
that's right. Hey, do you want to mention two quick comments? Let's go. Pablo Rafael Rodriguez. Sorry, my Portuguese came out there. Hi, I am new to rugby, liking the team, loving the sport. Welcome. You're part of the Utah Warriors Dub Nation. Let's go, Pablo. I love it.
Dub Nation got a new private in our ranks. Stand up, buddy.
And then Chris Hurling, morning, boys. Yep. I'm assuming you're in Australia.
Chris is on the other side of the world somewhere if it's morning. Yeah. Shouts out to Chris. Morning, fella.
Chris, tell us where you're at. Okay, here's what's on the show rundown. We'll recap the Atlanta game. It's a loss, but the Warriors make the playoffs. All good, baby. Scores from around MLR. Oh, Nola mails it in. No playoffs for Nola. Standings. Coming down to the wire in the East. West is locked up. We'll preview the LA game. And our guest. two guests tonight. Let's go. Mikey Te'o of the USA Eagles and Utah Warriors. And the man behind all the amazing graphics on this program. His name is Mike Gieselman. He makes them. He's awesome. Rugby 101 hits up verbiage. The unique phrases and words used in rugby will attack some of those. Okay, let's recap the game Saturday night. Utah loses 41-31 to Rugby ATL. It's a fantastic showing from the fans. Rugby ATL never trailed in the game. Both teams, however, clinched playoff berths. Utah locks up the 2 seed with a bonus point by getting 4 more tries. Utah's 5-game win streak is snapped, and it's just the second Utah loss by 10+. But all of any negativity associated with the loss there is overshadowed by the fact that the Warriors clinched a playoff berth. It's all good, baby.
You know, it's not the way you'd want to see the Warriors get into the playoffs, but it doesn't matter because we are playoff bound. It was a tight race almost all the way down to the end of the season. And DC, Danny Christensen coming in and getting the job done with his final score, getting that bonus point for the Utah Warriors.
More on Christensen coming up in a moment. It was an interesting game. It was very hot. Great fireworks after. Fireworks on the field during. A game that Utah, never led in. We were waiting for that comeback to happen. A reminder that, Rugby ATL had 4 players out. Utah had 6 out on international leave. Those guys are all back, which is great news for this and next week. But after the game, I was not discouraged in any way, shape, or form because Austin against LA did not get any bonus points. So that meant that if Utah got 1 point, playoffs. And, the bonus point for scoring 4 tries, make it 5, made it so Utah made the playoffs. So I felt encouraged by, you know what? The deed is done. Next week, this week, doesn't have the, oh my gosh, you've got to beat LA or you've got to do this or that. You can kind of take it easy to some degree. Don't get hurt. Get ready for the most meaningful game in Utah Warriors history next week.
So, obviously, again, not the way you want to go into the playoffs. You'd love to see the boys continue that momentum with the win. But with the impact players that we had out, the guys on the field played really well. And I think it was just a matter of chemistry with this team. I think Rugby ATL had a little bit more to play for, a little more imperative on their side with their playoff picture, having a bigger question mark by it. If they didn't win that game, they could have been out completely. While if the Warriors lost, which we did, we know we still had a chance with Austin losing and not getting a bonus point, So I don't think the imperative was quite there for this Utah Warriors team. I think there was a lot of really big highlights that showed out throughout this game with some of the standout players, which we'll get to in the recap of the game. But there were a lot of positives. I mean, the Warriors go out and score 31 against the number 1 team in the East. That's no small feat. And I think they're the number 3 defense or 4 defense in the league. So, I mean, to hang 30 on a team that's got that kind of skill, we knew Rugby ATL was going to be good, and they came in motivated. Hats off to those guys for getting the job done.
Okay, let's walk through some of the scoring summary. So it's 12-0 ATL through 18 minutes. In the 23rd, Danny Christensen, great step inside, little juke, and dots it down for his first try as a Utah Warrior to make it 12-7. That was a nice play for Danny to try and get Utah some momentum because through the first quarter of the game, not a lot of possession, and then finally it's 12-7.
I mean, it was the 2 tries for Rugby ATL, and finally Utah gets a possession down in Rugby ATL territory, and it's right about 5 meters out, and they run a couple of phases right in front of the post, and then Danny sees the gap right here. And it was the open side flanker that just shot up real quick thinking he was going to make that quick tackle. Rugby ATL was really quick on the line speed the entire game, and Danny read it, and just too quick and slippery down to score the try.
Slippery is a good adjective for him. I like that. Viliami Helu and Rasa Deakin both scored. It was 24-7. And then in the second half, Sama Malolo comes in, and he has a hat trick off the bench. The first hat trick in Utah Warriors history. And this first try was pretty awesome. He knows where the camera is. He's a good-looking dude. That smile is very contagious. This was a fun try here.
His energy is contagious. He's a great guy to be around. He's a passion guy on the field, plays with a lot of fire and a lot of heart, and he's a really caring and humble and fun guy to be around in the locker room and on the sideline as well. Scored 2 tries almost exactly the same, one after the other, on almost exactly the same play. It was the line out, set up. He comes in after the ball throw and gets the ball off the back, and they just drive towards the line. It was just bread and butter stuff for the Utah Warriors, but he was the energy spark that the Warriors needed to keep it honest.
So then off the restart there, this is one of the weirdest tries you'll see. The ball bounces in a super weird way, and Johan Momsen grabs it for his second try, and Rugby ATL mitigates the momentum that the Utah Warriors had in that moment. It's like, oh, man, he just grabs it off the restart, dots it down. It's like,
he really just
the easiest try ever.
He zigged when they should have zagged, and this is why you teach the young kids to never let the ball bounce. Play it out of the air. It's a big egg-shaped oval ball, and it takes weird bounces, and that's just what it does in rugby. It's kind of designed that way on purpose to keep the game interesting. So when you teach young players about the fundamentals of the restart, you always want them to take it in the air and take it on the full without bouncing, because when it bounces, like that Momsen try, Danny Christensen came around and misplayed it on one way, and Momsen's really just kind of jogging in a defensive line, and it lands in his lap like a stork dropping a baby out of the sky. He just goes, oh, I know the ball, and just kind of jogs in.
Was it boss baby?
And that was all said and done. That was really it at that point for it. So,
yeah,
kids, take the ball out of the air on the full on the restart, okay?
Yes, do it. That was crazy. Okay, Sama Malolo scores the second try. You mentioned it. It looks like the first one. This is a carbon copy.
This is Sama Malolo 2 Electric Boogaloo. This is not a replay of the other try. This was a different set piece and a big drive forward. You see a little more contact there at the end for Sama, but getting the job done.
David Suliafu Sr. agreed. We can't let that kick bounce. Need to be caught on full. Yep, Banksy agrees. Okay, Austin White. So that was 31-17. It's like, okay, it's a game with 23 minutes to go. Cardiac, comeback. Kids are showing up. Let's do this. Nope, Austin White makes 38-19 at that point. It's like, down 19. What are we going to try and top the San Diego comeback? Sama Malolo makes it 38-26 with 7 minutes to go for his hat trick here. I thought Sai Uhila scored originally. And when I say Sai Uhila scores, the social media tweets out Sai Uhila scores. So I feel really bad that I was off on that. But
well, it was Saya. If you see in the buildup right here, it's Saya on his hip. And It looked like it was Saya initially that
both his hands are in the air.
Saya's such a big guy, you almost can't see Sama in front of him on the drive towards the line until they come up off the ground.
Yeah, I missed that one. I missed a bunch of things on the call. It's okay. Kurt Coleman had a penalty goal to make it 41-19. At that point, it's over. But as soon as Sama scores that, playoffs secured. So that was a massive try. You could argue, I mean, there have been better tries for a better play, but in terms of significance, perhaps the try of the year in terms of getting into the playoffs on that one with the bonus point. Then Danny Christensen makes it a 10-point game in the 79th minute with his second try. So he gets the start, scores 2 tries, the team scores 31. That's a pretty good performance.
Danny Christensen was unbelievable in this game with no backup in the match. Both our first and second guys out. Baska and Hurst out with the Eagles and Canada, respectively. Danny's got to come in and literally do it all on his own. Legs cramping. I think he played a total of 24 minutes in his previous 2 appearances. Goes the full 80. Marshals the team around with just sheer spark and fire. It's the Danny Christensen that I know that I played with. He's always had that energy, and it's great now to see not just his skill level rise, but his minutes on the field rise as he continues to develop as a player.
Yeah, he goes from, you were really close, 28 minutes in 3 games to a full 80. And when he scores that try and just lays on his back, I could feel the exhale from the booth.
Gassed completely. I think 2 different times he was down trying to get his calves to uncramp due to the heat and the dehydration. Danny played a great game.
Yeah. Let's check out the stats from this one. Atlanta 6 tries to Utah's 5. The 1 penalty goal as well, the difference. Conversions, a couple of misses from both teams in this one. Possession 48-52. Utah 2 ATL, 49-51 in territory. Lineouts. Utah is really good at lineouts now. 15-17. We're seeing these kind of numbers every week, which is great. Scrums, perfection on both sides, and tackle percentage pretty similar.
I think the resurgence of Matt Jensen at the lineout this year has really been the safety net for the Utah Warriors at the lineout. Anything inside the 22, you got to just trust that the Warriors are going to take a big, tall lineout with a couple of 6'7", 6'8" lock forwards in there, and you're going to have to answer the call at a big physical maul. And they've done it time and time again. Sama's first 2 tries were on that play, and it's really full credit to Matt Jensen, Aston Fortine, Yuri Van Buren, and Bailey Wilson, who are typically our guys in the air, taking that big high ball.
So first 15 in the league, guess who gets the 1 nod? Danny Christensen, the 3rd-string scrum half, gets the 9 nod. First start, 2 tries, 10 carries for 54 meters, 4 tackles, 7 ruck arrivals. Again, we talked about he was really good. Also notable announcement dates we found out. August 9th, we'll find out the all-MLR 1st and 2nd team. August 10th, the player of the year. And August 11th, the forward, back, and coach of the year. They'll basically wait and see who won the title, and they'll give out the August 10th and 11th awards to those guys. And then August 9th, we'll see 1st and 2nd team. I imagine we'll see several Utah Warriors in the 1st and 2nd all-MLR teams, if not more, with some of those other awards.
I think getting into the playoffs, a lot of these guys are going to be rewarded with positions on those 1st and 2nd teams where otherwise it may have gone to another player on another team. You get credit for making the playoffs in these situations. Now you got to think guys like Mikey Te'o, Mika Cruze, the emergence of Michael Baska has been great. If Gus McClellan doesn't get some kind of acknowledgement for the way that he's played at tight head prop, then it's a crime against humanity, and we need to take MLR officials to The Hague because he's just been an absolute rock at tight head prop all year long. So there's probably 6 or 8 guys on this team that could get 1st or 2nd team honors with that MLR staff. And I want to mention too, because I don't want to forget these guys, Logan Tongo and John Powers made their debut in the match over the weekend and both looked really good. Logan Tongo had a couple of really great breaks, made some good defensive plays. That's a big physical outside back, and it was good to see him in the number 1 jersey, in the 1st team jersey, not the number 1, in the 1st team jersey for the first time this year.
Yeah, congrats to those guys, and thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, so the over/under on MLR 1st or 2nd teamers is 6.5 out of Vegas. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Okay.
Is that official? Did you call your bookie on that?
I got is that Caesars? So yeah, exactly. Okay, Saturday it's Utah and LA Part 1, Banksy.
This should be absolutely exciting. It's the top team in the league versus the number 2 team in the West. A preview of things to come. It's the regular season finale and a preview of the playoffs. Tickets on WarriorsRugby.com, the broadcast on CBS Sports Network. You and I will have the call. You and Ashley Burge will have the call on ESPN 700 and 960. Warrior Nation, this is your last chance to get into Zions Bank Stadium and cheer these guys on and feed them the energy they need to get into the playoffs and face these same LA Giltinis a week later at the Coliseum in Los Angeles.
Okay, let's bring in our first of two guests. He is a USA Eagle, 15s and 7s. He recently returned from the UK, and he's back this week for the game against LA. He is the one and only Mikey Te'o. Mikey, what's up, man? How you doing, man?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me on the show. Thanks for happy to be back in Utah and getting ready for these playoffs coming up. So.
Okay, yeah, big games coming up, of course. We'll get to those in a moment, but let's talk about the trip to the UK with the Eagles. How was the trip overall? Not necessarily the games. We'll talk about that in a second. But how was that trip, man?
We had to go to a bubble. We had to wear mask again, which kind of sucks because Utah. We didn't have to wear masks here, which is awesome. We were just stuck in a hotel all week. We only had 3 practices before we played England, and yeah, that was a crazy game. And yeah, Ireland was nice. Always playing in Twickenham is a blessing in England, and then Aviva Stadium in Ireland. That was amazing. So happy to be back in the States and back in Utah.
I mean, you're talking about playing at 2 of the absolute temples of the sport of rugby there. I mean, there's only a couple other places maybe more iconic. Your viral moment from the match versus England kind of went around the world a little bit. Famous/infamous. Talk about that moment there. For the people that don't know or haven't seen the video, Mikey. I don't want to put you on the spot. I know you don't like to talk about stuff like that, but we got to mention it, bro.
I had to run back after this guy made a break, and then I just jumped and I grabbed the back of his jersey and shorts, and then the next thing you know his backside started showing, and I just got dragged for 5 meters. He scored, but
there was a full moon out at Twickenham.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know he scored. I wasn't even paying attention to that.
Nobody was looking at the number on the back of the jersey when that happened.
Yeah, that's funny. Is that your first mid-game tackle pantsing of sorts?
That way, because the whole jersey ripped as well. So I don't know. I think
it was more of a kit failure, right, than you pulling his pants down. His whole jersey from the numbers down just shredded and destroyed and failed him.
Yeah.
Wow.
So talk to the England kit guys. It's their fault, not yours, Mike.
Yeah. That's funny.
So, Mikey, obviously, the second game against Ireland, not what you guys wanted, big blowout there. But the first game, the second half, you guys had a really, really nice showing, including really fun for Utah Warriors fans. Watch 3 of you guys connect on that try, right? Was it even 4? Am I off on that? The 4 backs. What was it like to really show out in that second half and kind of show, hey, we can play at this level?
Yeah, but we had a game plan, and then second half we kind of opened it up, and once you're down by like 3 or 4 tries, it's all right. Let's get the ball out wide and see what we can do. Eventually, got the ball to Mika, and Mika made some great breaks out there and offloaded back inside to Basket, who offloaded to Christian Dyer, and he's scoring. So we're going like 90 meters against England. Scoring 29 points against England in Twickenham. No one's done that in the last 5 years. So that was pretty epic. Yeah.
So talk about now after that match gets done. You guys are overseas. The rugby ATL game is on. Did you guys get together and watch any of that?
Yeah. So after the Ireland game, after the Ireland game, 2 a.m. It was 2 a.m. I stayed awake. I think Calvin. I don't know. Maybe I think Calvin was like in and out of sleep. They were all in their own rooms, but I stayed up watching. And I was just making sure to get those 4 tries. For that playoff berth.
Did you know all we needed was the 1 point at that point when the guys were playing?
Yeah. Because we watched the Austin game. There's Austin players that play for the USA team, so they've been. I don't know. It was good banter.
Love the banter.
Yeah, and it made it so, as soon as they get no bonus points, like, hey, 1 point, let's go. So, obviously, you want to beat Rugby ATL. You want to get a vengeance for the preseason game. In the end, you make the playoffs, right? So, how did you feel about that day? Because I'm sure there's some mixed feelings. Hey, you want to win, but, hey, mission accomplished. You got into the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't like losing, and I don't like seeing, the guys lose as well. So, I don't know. I was pretty upset personally. Of course, happy that they're we have an extra week to prepare for the semis. That's a blessing there. There's no stress. Like now we can just work on a game plan, work on what we want for this last game, and then prepare for the semifinal next week. Yeah. No one likes losing. I don't think anybody on our team likes losing. So you gotta hate losing more than you love winning.
So talk about now then the preparation as you go into the new week. You guys are all back from camp in England, still kind of probably shaking off some of that jet lag, but you do have the extra week. We know we've got LA in back-to-back weeks and basically a lame duck game this week that how many cards is each team going to show and how much are we going to see? What's the preparation like as a team going into LA for the final game of the season as opposed to the switch into that playoff picture as you guys head to LA in 2 weeks?
I think it's a momentum thing. If we win this game this weekend, we have some momentum going into the semifinal. And judging by all the games so far this year, it's been momentum swings. These games are being won by 2 points, 1 point, 5 points, and there's only been so many blowouts this year. So momentum is a powerful thing, and I think that's a big thing to play for this weekend going into the semis.
I'm talking to Mikey Te'o on Dub Nation here, Jarom Jordan and Banksy. Okay, no Western team has beaten LA. It's been 3 Eastern teams. Have they shown a particular, perhaps, opportunity against LA that you think Utah can use this Saturday?
Wait, you said
like the three Eastern teams have defeated LA. Still waiting for a Western team to do it, right? And if it's going to be a Western team, it's going to be Utah, right? Has there been anything in those 3 losses for LA that's been similar where you go, oh, that's how you beat them?
Well, we watched the New York beat LA the week before we played them in SoFi, so we knew they were vulnerable. And then once we started playing and we were there, we were over the line, held up. It was like a 14-point swing, and then momentum takes over. I think we need to stop putting them on their high horse and putting them up on a pedestal so much. We're putting pressure on ourselves, and I've been saying that all of yesterday since I got back. Like, hey, we just need to work on our own game plan. They're going to bring what they bring no matter what because it's playoffs, it's finals rugby. If we do our jobs and everybody knows our jobs and we're able to execute, I don't know, the result and the momentum will be on our side.
So now we face LA. By the way, Logan Tonga watching says, "What's up, Oos?"
Hey, go to practice. I do the media, Logan. You go to practice.
Love the banter. Love the banter. So chemistry now obviously means a lot, and you've had the extra moments with your guys, not just here this season, but now playing with the national team and coming back with that experience. How does that top-tier experience help in a leadership role as you come back to the team? Because playing at England, playing at Ireland, there's experience there that you can't buy that obviously benefits not just the Utah Warriors, but the MLR as a whole in our continued development.
The thing that I learned most against playing England and Ireland, the game can be so simple. It can be so simple, but it can also be easily complicated by 1 through 23. Any one person can complicate the game, and just seeing the way they play and how they execute their little things. You make one mistake against Ireland, guess what? You're under the post 7 points. We're down by 7, down by 14. And it just repeats. But it's just like one simple mistake. And MLR, you can do a bad kick, and then your boys can back you up, and it'll be all good. You'll make up for it the next play. But once you start playing catch up, it's a lot difficult. So the one thing that I wanted to bring back to the Utah Warriors and to the team is, hey guys, calm it down. Let's simplify this. If everyone's trying to think too much on the field, we're not playing rugby. Or you're taking the rugby part out of it, you're thinking too much. So let's simplify it and let's have fun doing it. So hopefully you'll be able to see a lot more rugby played this weekend.
How have you felt about your season this year? Because I have you in the league, number 1 in running meters, 3rd in carries and offloads, 5th in tackle breaks, 7th in tries.
I don't know. I have my own goals. I just set my own goals for each game. I try to get a lot of ball carrying meters. Get as many assists as I can. I don't really care too much about tries and all that stuff and all into the stats. Try to get the win. anything for the team. So yeah, that's it on stats wise. I don't really look too deep into that stuff. But so far it's been going good. There's a few points that have been left out on the table, and a few points being scored, in my channel or in my backfield. So yeah, not a perfect season. Probably won't have a perfect season, but just want to finish strong.
Well, awesome, man. We appreciate your time. Best of luck this weekend against LA for that momentum you talked about, and then of course the playoffs next week. So hopefully you had a great time in the UK, and we appreciate it, Mikey.
Yeah, thanks, boys. We'll see you guys Saturday.
Okay, we'll see you Saturday. That's Mikey Te'o, USA Eagle, Utah Warriors. I like what he said right there about LA. Hey, we got to stop putting them on a high horse. They're beatable.
They're very beatable, and they've been beaten 3 different times this year by Eastern Conference teams. Credit to LA. They've gotten the job done when they needed to, and they've stayed the class of the West all season long. But clearly they can be beat. They can be beat by MLR teams. I mean, they are, for all intents and purposes, an Australian provincial side with a couple of Americans playing on the wings. So the quality of rugby is there. But we've seen now with good showings against both England and Ireland, there's quality in American rugby, and it's not at that top 5 international level yet, but you can't take anything away from the playability of these players in this competition. It's an entertaining brand of rugby to watch, and I can't wait to see what these boys put together against the LA Giltinis.
Okay, Week 17 MLR scores. Rooney beats Houston 54-19 to stay in the playoff hunt. Old Glory DC upsets San Diego 38-29. I'm going to fly through these. LA Giltinis lock up the 1 seed with the 31-17 win versus Utah. New England takes down Toronto 28-17. Shout out to Toronto. The fact that they just decided to play, went to Atlanta, and they're finally home. Just hats off to those guys, honestly. Just an incredible showing. And then Seattle takes down NOLA 30-6. That was the shocker of the week, because if NOLA wins and gets a 5-pointer, they have a chance of the playoffs. Now NOLA is needing a miracle against Rooney. They have to beat him by a stupid amount of points just to make the playoffs and have a chance.
They have to have a 20-point win differential and some other crazy stat to be able to get in. What a roller coaster the MLR is. We always say any given week. They knock off LA the week before in what some called the upset of the year. And then you go and basically lay an egg in Seattle. Now, don't take anything away from Seattle. That's a much improved team. That's not the bottom of the table team that we've seen all year. They've added so many pieces, and the organization and the leadership there have gotten so much together. So full credit to Seattle for going in and getting the job done. Take nothing away from them for the quality and credit of getting a win.
Okay, we look at the standings. We're going into the last week of the regular season. Let's take a look at the West. So, again, the 1 and 2 are locked up. LA's the 1. Utah's the 2. The playoffs are set. It's just the top 2 teams. Austin in 3rd, San Diego 38, Seattle 21, and Houston 13.
I think it's going to be a shoulda, woulda, coulda for a lot of teams in the MLR, and we could have very easily been sitting there as well, especially if you're Austin and San Diego. San Diego made a great late run to apply pressure on Austin and Utah, and I think it raised the level of competition and the quality of rugby across Major League Rugby, having these tight playoff races in the East and in the West. It's not still decided in the West. It's decided in the West. It's not decided in the East exactly who's going to be where.
Let's take a look at it and talk about it. So Rugby ATL has clinched a playoff spot. Likely the 1. We'll see if they're the 2. Rooney and NOLA play this week. So basically, Rooney needs 1 point to advance. So if you're NOLA, you have to not only win, you have to prevent Rooney from keeping it within 7 and scoring 4 tries. That's going to be hard enough. You also have to get a bonus point of scoring 4 or more tries. And you have to win by 20. So that ain't happening, right? Probably not. I'm thinking Rooney's in, but maybe NOLA responds after the Seattle game.
It's Major League Rugby. I'm not taking anything off the table. If you'd have told me at the start of the year that Toronto playing their entire season in Atlanta was going to be a normal thing, I'd have said there's no way they could pull that off and make that happen. They did. Hats off to Toronto for everything they've done this season. If you'd have told me that LA was going to go wire to wire as the number 1 team, I'd have said a hard maybe. There's so many. If you'd have told me Seattle, the defending champions, were going to be a bottom of the table team, there's no way. So there's a lot of things in Major League Rugby that you just can't predict, and the quality, and a lot of people throw this term parity around, and I think it's kind of overused, but it really is. On any given game day, you can show up and get beat in Major League Rugby.
It's true. Ask the Warriors. Lost to Seattle and then needed a dramatic try to win in the other one. And Seattle was the second worst team in the league in the standings, yet super tough. So, absolutely. Those are the standings, and it's coming down to the wire. Next week, the playoffs begin.
Can't wait for it. And don't worry, Utah Warriors fans, we still have another home game as well here in Utah. If you want to join us at Zions Bank Stadium as the LA Guiltinis come to town for the final game of the season, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, kickoff, go to warriorsrugby.com. While you're there, join the best fans in Major League Rugby and get your season tickets. There's no deposit required right now. You can just get in, book your season tickets, and guarantee your seats for the loudest and best fans in Major League Rugby. Dub Nation, it's time to renew your season tickets. Let's go.
Okay, games this week. Yes, do it. Watch this exciting team that's just starting. It's just beginning. I don't feel like this is going to be the peak. I feel like this is the tip of the iceberg, right? Which is super exciting. Okay, games this week. By the way, Houston at Seattle. Kat Roche is going to become the first female MLR referee tonight. That game's tonight, coming up in half an hour in MLR, or excuse me, in a couple hours, 2.5 hours, in MLR history. So pretty notable night in that one.
Props to her and to the entire MLR officiating crew. They've had a lot of work to do. I know I've been incredibly critical of them. I feel like they've done a good job of training and really pushing their head referees to continue to get better and better and better. She's a rugby player first and then switched over to refereeing and officiating. She started playing rugby when she was 15. So she's had a good long rugby career on the field, enough to know what she's looking for with the whistle in her hand. So super exciting for her. We've had her as an assistant referee, I think, in a couple of our matches as the Utah Warriors. So good to see her get the promotion and the call to be the number one referee.
There's one referee that Utah has not won a game win this ref. I'm not going to say who it is, but there is one.
We have never won a match with that guy on the whistle, ever.
Yep, there's
we'll
one.
Probably draw him in the Western Conference semi.
NOLA at Rooney, Austin at Old Glory DC, LA at Utah as mentioned, Rugby ATL at New England. So Rugby ATL still technically has a little bit of work to do, right? To get the one, and then NOLA at Rooney. Those are the two games that have significance on the Eastern Conference. So we'll see what happens in that. Okay, the game at hand, as you mentioned, Banksy. LA coming to town, number one team in the league, taking on the Utah Warriors this Saturday night, 6 Mountain Time, so an hour earlier than normal. On CBS Sports Network, we'll have the call on ESPN 700, 960. We being Ashley, because your boy, don't call me Chris Gaines, Garth Brooks is in town. You got to attend to the number one job.
Gotta handle it.
Okay, what kind of game do you think we're going to see, because both have already locked up seating? Mikey Te'o kind of hinting at, no. We need the momentum of this game.
This is one of the things I love about the culture of rugby. You know, if this was an NFL game and there was nothing at stake, you'd see the starters for a couple of possessions, and then they'd bench them and rest them for the playoffs. In rugby, it matters. It matters in here what those wins and losses are. And every week you want to come out and inflict your will upon your opponent, no matter what's at stake, and get a win. So I know Mikey Te'o from the top, as a leader on that team, is inflicting that attitude on everyone that he comes in contact with. And I think that carries and echoes probably all around Major League Rugby. And LA is coming in, and they're going to want to stamp their authority on the game and say, nah, you can't do this to us. So I expect a really entertaining rugby game come Saturday.
Yeah, I doubt we'll see Matt Te'o and Adam Ashley Cooper, just resting those guys. But I think we're going to see some really good rugby still.
Are you calling Adam Ashley Cooper and Matt Te'o old? Did you just say they needed the rest because they're old and they can't? It's okay. The salt and pepper, Adam Ashley Cooper, he is old. I mean, come on.
They're really good. They're also old. Right? Everyone knows it. Yeah, they've been the leaders. They've had a few weeks off here and there to get to this point, right? And you talk about the Warriors get everybody back. You know, LA gets everybody back. So we'll see who goes. It'll be interesting. I think it's going to be a fun game regardless. Okay, they've only met one other time, obviously, first year for the Guiltinis, and in their freshman season in the league, they win the regular season, which is pretty notable. They met on May 15th. You may recall, LA won 38-27 in SoFi Stadium, home of the Chargers and the Rams. That's the largest marginal loss of the season, 11, which, by the way, hey, that's not even a lot. 4,800 fans were there. So looking for the first win. Lineups will come out tomorrow. And first MLR team to score 500 points, LA Giltini. So I'm interested to see what kind of lineups there are. And then Mikey Te'o sort of changed my opinion of like how this could be approached, because honestly, if you're Utah and you lose, it doesn't really matter. But Mikey Te'o made it sound like it really matters to them.
I think it does matter if you're a player, if you're a coach, you always want to win the game you're in. Don't get caught looking ahead, even if it's the same team that you're looking ahead to like we are this week. These guys are going to go out and play their brains out. Most of these guys are still going to have to run 80 minutes with just the subs coming off the bench. So I would look for a first team starting lineup from the Utah Warriors from the gate for this one. Now, how quickly those subs come in at half, depending on what the score is, obviously that's a call for the coaches and for Matt, the strength and conditioning and training staff to decide who needs the rest and what the outcome of the game should be. But I expect to see fireworks for the first 40 minutes from both of these teams.
Okay, we'll see Saturday night. Let's bring in our second guest. He makes the graphics on this program. He is a Michigan State dude. He is Mike Gieselman, the Warriors flanker. Mike, I am so sorry we haven't had you on the show until now. All your graphics have been on the show, but we finally got you on, man.
Oh, it's all good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Great to have you, man. You played, let's see, remind me who you played for. You played for another team in the league before the Warriors, right?
Yeah, was with the Free Jacks for a number of months in their lead up to joining the MLR.
Gotcha. And then you found your way with Utah. You played in 11 games this year. You've come off the bench in a ton of those, especially the last part of the season. Describe your role on the team other than making graphics for this program.
Yeah. Other than the graphics, I think my role is just a guy that can come in at any point in the game, get things done, help turn the momentum around, and just bring some energy.
You're one of those guys that it doesn't matter what the task at hand is. If they need you for 60 minutes because of an injury, which we've seen, or if they need you for 7 minutes to close out a game, you've always been up to the task. And I see the same work ethic from you in training, in the business office, doing stuff for us. And it seems like you're always working. And I know that's part of the culture of rugby. When did you start playing rugby and really start picking up the game that helped kind of instill some of those values and that work ethic in you?
Yeah, it's definitely something that's ingrained in the culture in rugby. But I started my sophomore year in college at Michigan State and just had some guy come up to me in the gym and asked if I wanted to play rugby. I was like, what is that? I've never even heard of that. Yeah. Ended up giving it a shot, and I actually broke my nose the first practice I went to. But I fell in love with it instantly. And then, man, starting then, I never would have thought I would end up still playing here now, especially at this level. But, man, I'm so blessed to be here, especially in this environment.
Yeah, you put in so much work. I need you to either get a try or a yellow card Saturday. Is that a fair request? I need you pick.
Let's go try, Mikey.
I would lean towards try.
Yeah, that's what I want. But if it doesn't work out, just 10 minutes in the cinnamon, whatever. It's all good. We were talking about this game with LA and how unique it is because you've already locked in the playoffs. Yet Mikey Te'o made it sound like he's going to be pissed if you guys don't win the game.
Yeah, I think everybody will be pissed if we don't win this game, especially knowing that we came so close when we played them in SoFi. And a lot of people would say, oh, yeah, this game doesn't really count. So why play all your starters? But really, it's a pride thing and also just an opportunity to continue to prove and develop our system that we've been working on the whole year.
So talk about your journey and how you got to Utah, because I know you're a name that a lot of people have seen on the stat sheet, on the lineups. We've seen you in games, but a lot of people don't know where you're from. Obviously, going to Michigan State, playing at other teams. How did you come to Utah, and what did that journey start like?
Yeah, I think really the way I ended up in Utah was when I played for Michigan State. Brandon Sparks, our awesome general manager, he was the head coach of our rival.
You don't have to put those superlatives on there for him. He's an okay guy.
He's all right. But he was the head coach of University of Michigan, who was our biggest rival. So played against him for pretty much 4 years. And I hate to say, I think we only ended up beating him once in my whole tenure in college. But Ended up then playing for him at the Legacy Academy, sevens one summer. And then, long story short, last year I'm sitting at my job in Texas. I had thought rugby was over. New England Free Jacks didn't really work out. And I get a message from Brandon saying, hey, do you want to give pro rugby another shot? I said, absolutely. Quit my job the next day, flew out here, trained with the guys, and then rest is history, I guess.
That's gangster, Mike Gieselman. Just, I'm out. See ya.
So no 2 weeks notice?
I gave him the 2 weeks notice, but
no, that's awesome, man. That's like during a pandemic or whatever, or right before. That's crazy, man. So you have practice here coming up at the top of the hour. What's a Thursday practice like typically for you guys?
Thursday practice is our physical day. So obviously contact is a little more limited towards the end of the season, but we'll get the shoulders warmed up tonight, get some pitch mapping done, really just dial in our system and then make sure that we're all ready to come into the weekend screaming.
What's pitch mapping?
Pitch mapping, kind of just work around the pitch from set pieces, line out scrums, exits, work through each zone of the pitch of what we would prospectively do if we got into that area at any point in the game.
Gotcha. Love it. Well, awesome. Let's let you go so, the Seans don't get mad at you. So we appreciate your work on the show, of course, and on the pitch. So I'm looking forward to your try on Saturday. It's going to be awesome, man.
Yes, try and hopefully not a yellow card. But,
hopefully that's not prophetic, Jarom.
Yes, just a try.
Look, love having you as part of this team and this organization, Mike. You're such a good dude. Thanks for being on the show. Finally on Dub Nation.
Yes, long time coming, but thank you guys again so much. And we got a little cameo from Charlie in the back there. But
hey. Okay, thanks, brother.
Have a great one, guys. Great work.
Thank you. That's Mike Gieselman. Again, he made a graphic of himself. It looks really nice. It's Mike Gieselman, man.
Good looking dude. He's such a great guy. He's the type of guy in your locker room that you just love to have because he's not, he's never better than the job at hand. Some guys get that superstar mentality and they don't want to do this or they don't want to do that. Not with Mike. He's the guy that he's never better than the job that's in front of him, whether it's making graphics for us in the middle of the day to fill up some of his time or whether he's putting in the starting 23 and ready to go on game day. He's such a class dude.
And he's part of that Gorilla squad that's been the number one bench in the league. I mean, we can quantify that by the comebacks, and it's been awesome, man. Okay, a little Rugby 101 here in the last couple of minutes. There's unique verbiage in the game of rugby, so let's talk about some of those words and phrases that maybe people need to know.
So first is the touch line or going into touch. It's the rugby term for the sideline. So whether a player steps out into touch, the ball is kicked into touch, or your player is tackled into touch. What we're really talking about are the two different sidelines and the place where the ball goes out of bounds, and that's what sets up the next set piece to restart play.
Technically, that's used in soccer as well, although not as much in the United States. Okay, correct. How about ball in hand?
Ball in hand just means you've got the ball in possession and you're really playing open, free-flowing rugby. You're trying to it's open play. You're not hitting a bunch of rucks. You're really just kind of going sideline to sideline with the ball in possession, maintaining those phases and still resetting when you need to, but keeping possession is what we talk about when we say you need to have the ball in hand.
On the front foot.
On the front foot is really similar to having the ball in hand. If you're playing on the front foot, that means you are making the gain line. You are passing your opponent's defensive line with momentum. You're scoring tries, resetting, and then getting back on the front foot and continuing that momentum. I mean, on the front foot really is kind of a great word, a great phrase that parallels momentum in rugby.
Yeah, like attacking, aggressive kind of.
Yes.
Okay, a grubber.
A grubber is a low kick, and we've seen it a lot from a lot of our Utah Warriors players in some attacking moments. It's a low kick that the ball bounces end over end along the ground. We play a lot of really high balls in rugby. A grubber is typically an attacking kick on a line through that usually your 10 or 9 will grubber the ball through a defensive line for your wings or your outside backs to be able to run onto.
I feel like grubber of the game presented by Grubhub hub or something. It's like a natural time. We'll work on that in the offseason.
If that doesn't happen in the league, then there is no justice in this world.
Hey, that's free. The next one I'm going to charge you for. Fend. I think people know what this means generally, but this is the fun one in rugby.
Fend is another term for stiff arm for those American football fans that are familiar with it. Tuveri Fungakoto has used it at his own leisure several times throughout the games. When you're running in the open field and an opposing player comes to make a tackle one-on-one, you stick that big old paw out there and literally just fend them off. There's Calvin Whiting with the same, using his actual outside arm there to make the fend on that play. And this is a term that might be a little weird for American football fans. It's also called a handoff sometimes. So we know a handoff in American football is a handoff of the ball, but a handoff in rugby is actually, it's just a fend or a stiff arm.
Like the offhand. Yeah, okay, yeah. I like that. Gain line.
Gain line is where the ball is at the ruck, and the defense sets up on that last line of the ruck, and the gain line is where the two teams meet each other at the offside line. And the option, I guess, or the opportunity for the team possessing the ball is you always want to make an advanced past the gain line, because that means you're gaining meters up the field. Logan Tongo was great at making the gain line in his substitution minutes against Rugby ATL. Had a couple of, when we say line breaks in rugby, that's what we're referring to, is he's broken the defensive line or met the defensive line at the gain line and pushed through it and pushed forward with the ball.
Look at all the hair in that photo. That was
some
awesome.
Great lettuce on this team. That. I mean, and it's the extremes. You got Saya Ohila that's got all beard, no hair. And then you've got Logan Tongo over there with the braids flowing, just looking fantastic, straight out of a Hollywood movie.
Marno Reddling Ice with, he's like a Viking or something. I love it.
All the hair. South Africans have wild, unruly hair. I love it.
Hey, you said it. Okay, we'll see you Saturday night, 6 Mountain Time on CBS Sports Network. You can listen to us on ESPN 700 and 960. Saturday night, Utah versus the LA Guillotines, the regular season finale. Okay, that'll do it for us. Like and share this episode of Dub Nation. Follow the Utah Warriors on social media and throughout the season on KSL Sports and ESPN 700. For Mikey Te'o, Mike Gieselman, Billy the producer, and Banksy, I'm Jarom Jordan. Go Warriors.